Okay, Dad, the session is live now. You can make me a co-host. Thank you.
Hey, Carol Sue.
Hey, Deb. Deb, I took and found out the reason why that meringue weeps is because it's overcooked. That's the reason why it weeps from the top. And if it separates from the filling, it's the same issue.
Okay, that's certainly that. Now that differs a little bit from some of the information that I was reading. So that's interesting because my understanding is that it does that anyway. It just naturally starts to do that at some point. So it could be that you're right that when it first, if it does that immediately, maybe that's part of it. I also think that if the sugar's not dissolved, that can be part of it.
Oh, that could be part of it also. Yep.
Yeah. So good thinking on that, Carol Sue. Where'd you find the information?
I dug it out of old cookbooks.
Old cookbooks. Okay. Very helpful. So it's real interesting to see what we can come up with in these sessions.
Well, the other thing too is, the pecan taking basically pies get soggy so fast, too.
Yes, true.
So that means that you have to eat it all the same day.
Yeah, that's why I ended up making those, the pecans, did you say?
Yeah, a pecan pie, yeah.
Pecan pie, yeah, they do. They do. Hi, Becca. Welcome. Hi, Grisha. Welcome back. Hi, Pat. Hello, Janet.
Hello.
I saw somebody now. Who's there? It's Raymond Dexter. I'm thinking that's a different name, but I'm not entirely sure because the picture's a little dark.
Yeah, I'm using my husband's tablet. I'm Sheila Dexter.
Say your name again.
Sheila.
Okay, sure. Okay. Hi, Sheila. Welcome back.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. Becca, did we meet before?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, welcome anyway. I'm glad that you're here. Glad
Thank
everyone has decided to come to Let's Talk Cooking. So I'm really interested to see what it is that you might be interested in today.
Yeah.
So just about to share my screen here. I saw something I wanted to change here. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And we'll get started. So this is one of those kinds of casual classes where the agenda changes every time because we talk about whatever you might want to talk about. So at this point, I am going to, you should see my Let's Talk Cooking slide, right? And I'll probably stop sharing at some point. Well, we'll see, because I did bring some links along and we'll see where we go from there. Just to get us started, for those of you who may not have been in any of my classes before, Becca, I'm not sure that we have seen each other before. Janet, you and I have met before or no? No. So welcome. And my name's Deb Livingston and I live on the East Coast in York, Pennsylvania. And my background is in business. So I did all that dry businessy stuff with management all my career. And now I get a chance to do something really fun, talk to you all about cooking and learn from you every day, just like Carol Sue brought some information about meringue to the table today. We talked about meringue yesterday. She brought some tips about how to keep it from weeping or what causes it to weep. So I learned something all the time from these classes. We do like to learn this way from each other. So I'm glad that you're joining me on camera. Those of you who can, please do so. And also use your microphone. The class isn't that big, so you can unmute yourself and we'll just have open conversation. Sometimes we end up over talking each other a little bit, and then we just say, okay, pause, and I'll call on one of you, and then the next one will go. So it all seems to work out in a group this size. You can also use the chat box if you would like to. Nancy is here, and Nancy's our technical support, our teaching support. So she's also going to be here if you have any technical issues to help you out with those and to answer or let me know if there's any questions that I miss in the chat. So she'll be monitoring that, and you can use that if you would prefer. We are recording this session, so if you want a copy of the recording for any reason, you're welcome to request that at help@getsetup.io. And we're on live stream today, which means there's people out there. Hello, those of you who are watching from live stream. You're welcome to join a class at any time. Just come onto the site and register. We'd love to have you as part of the conversation. And anything that I show you, like today, I'm going to show you a little product that you might be interested in. Anything I show you in that way is not something that Get Set Up gets paid to promote in any way, shape, or form. It's just something we see that might be of interest to you, so we let you know about it. So last time when we got together, we talked about, well, 2 times ago, we talked about several things. What I decided I would do is keep a running list of the things that you all brought up. And the attendance at these varies. You know, Jeannie's been here, Carol Sue's been here, but then there's also people who are new. So we just keep rotating these topics. And if there's a topic on here or a topic that you would like to see on this list, bring it up and we can explore it today. If we don't have any input today, we'll put it on the list for next time. So we'll keep a running list that way. And I guess what I'd like to do is find out what's on your mind for today, because this is all about let's talk cooking. Cooking food, the sky's the limit. We can talk about if you've gone to previous classes and you have some questions about recipes from those classes, that's fair game. If you have an idea or if you want to have a recipe for something, that's another thing. You can see that these are some of the things that have come up. We've been, somebody said, well, let's do something around Heloise's helpful kitchen hints. So we have some of that. And Grisha asked about keeping herbs fresh because she's got a perennial problem with keeping fresh herbs really fresh. And somebody, I don't know, Carol Sue, was it you who asked for a recipe for fruitcake?
No, but I'm probably one of the few persons in the world that like fruitcake and do not take and like strawberry shortcake.
Okay. So you might like this recipe. I did go looking for a recipe for fruitcake, but I only did that as a backup because I think where we left it last time was, hey, if you had a recipe for fruitcake, bring it along. Did anybody bring a recipe for fruitcake? So it's a good thing that I did a backup. So we'll go through that. And then somebody also said, well, ethnic cooking would be fun to talk about. So we didn't get into anything specific there, but that's fair game to discuss. And someone else said, well, I'd like to talk about herbs and spices and how you use them with other things, with different meals and different cuisines. And then somebody said, how about making your own vanilla? So these were all topics from last week that we talked about. And I'd love to see your topic on this list today. We'll start with some of those and add to the list and then kind of go back through and go through these ones that are important to you. What would you like to talk about today? Oh. Any thoughts?
Does anybody cook with cast iron?
Ah, cast iron cooking. Yeah, does anybody cook with cast iron?
I do sometimes. I go through phases because it's so heavy. It stays on this stove. And then if I want to use something else, I put it away and then it doesn't come out for a long time.
Yeah.
What were you thinking of trying to do with cast iron?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just basically cooking with it. The only thing I've tried on it is to make some pork chops, which were good.
Mhm.
The only thing that, because a lot of people say that they love cooking on cast iron, but the only thing I find that I don't like about it is the cleaning afterwards, cleaning it, making sure you dry it and so it doesn't rust and all that stuff. So
You're probably not having it hot enough or heating it up hot enough to begin with, because it has to be well seasoned, and it's more of a, you let it get really hot before you put anything in it, and it shouldn't be that hard to clean. It should be just be able to wipe it out. Some people use a little bit of salt in there, sprinkle salt in there, and just wipe it out.
yeah.
So you don't even have to like wash it like you would a regular pot or pan.
Mhm.
They also sell these like chain looking things to clean it out. I don't use that. I just usually wipe it out as best I can. I've never even done the usual salt because the ones I have are well seasoned. Nothing really sticks to it. Just maybe a damp paper towel. Now, because I know I have a Le Creuset. It's the enameled cast iron.
Yeah.
And that one, because that was so expensive, that was my special treat. I always make sure to dry around the rim as much as possible. It doesn't really stick inside, but there's that little cast iron rim that's not coated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's, you bring up an interesting point, because the idea of seasoning a cast iron pan is an important one. And seasoning, that's a mouthful, because Jeannie, can you talk through how to properly season a cast iron pan, and how do you know that if it's properly seasoned?
It's been so long. Because I know my cast iron pot was bought before they have the seasoned. Like if you go to Amazon now or the stores, you can find a already seasoned cast iron pot or pan. And you still have to season it. Those are not seasoned that well. The more you use it, the more it gets seasoned. But if I remember correctly, it's putting oil in it and then putting it in a high oven and then wiping it out and putting it in there multiple times. And that will build up the nonstick surface.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's been a long time since I seasoned mine. So I may be missing a step, or I can't tell you the temperature or how much oil to put in there, but you need to do that before you use it.
Mine came pre-seasoned, it's probably like you said, I probably didn't let it heat up long enough like I was supposed to. I mean, it wasn't that hard to clean. It was just the fact of having to go back and put the oil on it and put it on the stove and make sure it dries completely. I'm lazy when it comes to that. I want to just throw it in the dishwasher.
After you do that several times and you get that build up that coating on it, you don't have to season it after every use.
Oh, okay.
So what you're saying though is it should be, if the seasoning is done well enough, and maybe that's a question for Becca with what you bought. Maybe as Jeannie was saying, maybe your pan wasn't seasoned well enough from the manufacturer, and it sounds like Jeannie said do it several times. So maybe a couple of additional seasonings could help build up, like as she said, that nonstick surface. So what you said was then you should just be able to wipe it out. It wouldn't stick.
Right. So
no more making it wet after that. The real test is something sticking in this. If it's sticking, it's not well enough seasoned. Is that what
the ones that are already seasoned, are a start, but if you like Google cast iron pans and seasoning and all that, they'll tell you it's not good enough to, you need to still season it more.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the things I use in the cast iron pan, I use a little bit of oil or butter. So, I may not be seasoning it per se every single time I use it, but it is getting some oil in there and on the bottom, and it's building up that seasoning. And you'll notice that the newer ones have a rougher finish to them because processing is cheaper now. They don't do the same quality control, but as it ages with that seasoning, it'll get slicker and slicker, and you'll notice a difference in the color of it, and you'll notice that it becomes a little bit smoother.
Oh,
Don't give up.
Yeah.
thank you so much for that tip about the La Cruzette, because I just took and went down and bought myself a gift, and I did not know about that. No one ever told me about the rim around the top. Make sure I take and clean that, taken basically well. So I thank you.
Yeah, it's more dry. It's more drying it because, if you look straight down on it, you'll see that it's brown as opposed to the white that's inside or the enamel color that's outside. So that's just
Okay.
raw cast iron.
Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much.
They are worth the money.
I have been hemming and hawing for years and years and years, and and what I ended up doing was finally I would put it in the cart, take it out, put it in the cart, and finally I just closed my eyes and hit enter.
I had gotten one that was on sale. It was too small, and I struggled to make chili in it because it would overflow. And then I bought an off-brand somewhere, and the enamel chipped like right away. It was still within the return period, so that was good. I could take it back. But I stumbled on Le Creuset, oh God, a long time ago at Costco. So of course, Costco, everything's huge, and it's just me. So I've got like this 9-quart Le Creuset stock or roaster. So it's for big batch cooking, but it does come out better than the crock pot and better than the Instapot and better than just a regular pot and pan.
Good to know. Very good to know. And I see that Nancy had a comment in here. Nancy RTA has a comment about the cast iron, if you've seen that. Do you have any questions? Or Nancy, do you want to speak to that a moment? You can come on and unmute yourself.
Yeah, sure. Like seasoning the casting iron, you need to wash it thoroughly. Then heat it on high flame till it's red hot. Then again, you'll have to wash it, and then again heat it, and then wash it, and then put the oil, wipe off the oil, and in this manner, your casting iron will be seasoned well if you want to do it.
Okay, so it sounds like red hot. It actually gets red.
Yeah, red hot, because it's iron, so it will turn red hot.
Okay, so when you think it's hot enough and it's not red, make it hotter.
Right.
Okay, did yours get red hot, Becca?
Oh no, it didn't get red hot. No.
How about you, Jeannie? Was yours red hot? Red hot?
No, it's never turned red. I don't think our stoves have enough power to get that hot.
Yeah, not sure about that. Okay, good tip. Thank you. Thank you.
I never knew to do that. I never knew to heat any of that. I used to take the oil and rub it in after I washed it and then just put it away. So I didn't know to heat it.
Yeah.
Hey, we're only 10 minutes in and already we've learned.
I've already learned something.
Good. Well, I'm just checking the chat and I saw that let's see, I saw a comment here about, where'd my chat go? About cooking with less saturated fat. And that was, who wanted to know about that? I'm trying to.
Janet.
Janet, there you go. Okay, so do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do now?
Well, I use an app called MyFitnessPal that track of how much saturated fat and how much carbs and how many calories you have. And I just wondered if there's more recipes out there or anything that I can use to have less saturated fat in my diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when I read that, I was looking at it from the standpoint of cooking with fat. Do you cook with fat now?
No.
Or are you talking about foods that contain less saturated fat?
Food, yeah, foods. Is there any recipes that anybody knows of that has less saturated fat or?
Yeah, so group?
I just read labels.
You
I'm
read
making something to see if it's there.
Mm-hmm. So what are some things that are low in saturated fat? Well, let's start the other way. What's really high in saturated fat that we make?
Beef.
It can be high, fatty beef. So So fatty pieces of beef, like roasts that have a lot of fat on them, will have high saturated fat. Pork chops that have a lot of fat, or pork
Yeah.
roasts that have a lot of fat. There is also lean, right? Lean pork, lean roast beef, or lean like filet or lean burger that's 90 or 95% lean is another way to reduce saturated fat. What else can you think of?
Chicken, if you don't take the skin off, is high in saturated fat.
Yeah, for sure. So skinless chicken is a better
You
way.
can make like fajitas, chicken fajitas.
Have you made fajitas before, Janet?
No,
Okay, so I'll send you a recipe. I'll put a recipe in the notes here for chicken for fajitas that you can use shrimp, which are low in fat, or you can use chicken breast strips, which are low in saturated fat, and they are filled with they have lots of veggies, and then they're tossed in something like an avocado oil, which doesn't have saturated, well, it has a little bit of saturated fat, but it's mostly omega-3 fatty acids, which are good fats for us.
Mhm.
okay.
What else can anybody suggest? Recipes. Send recipes.
Yeah, I did a search and I found this site. And it has some pretty yummy. It's called Olive Magazine. I put the link on the chat thing,
Perfect.
but it's got some pretty neat looking recipes here.
Let's take a look at that.
Tuscan pork steaks, yum.
So it's called
Olive Magazine. Click on the link on the chat. Maybe that'll bring it up for us.
See if I can get it to come over. You know what? I'm dealing with two monitors, and sometimes that gets a little complex.
Oh yeah.
And on my not share, I'm not sharing it there. So let me see if I can just get it from here. Under recipes, and
I'll
then
tell you what, do a search that says low saturated fat recipes. There it goes.
okay, so here are some, these look like healthy low fat recipes right here.
Yeah.
So look at those. Let me just see what else. Yeah, it looks like it's mostly under this category.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that one, that category. Yeah, that's the page I'm on.
Okay.
That chicken pasta salad, that grilled chicken and mustardly lentil salad. Sounds weird, but it looks good.
Sure does. Griddled chicken with yeah, it looks really good.
I don't even know what mustardly lentil is.
I guess it must have, let's see. Well, now I'm curious. Let's look.
Yeah.
What is do you like lentils, Janet?
Yeah,
Okay. So let's jump.
yeah, this looks like a good site.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will. Well, do you have the website written down, or I can add it in the notes when we go?
I have it written down.
Okay, great. So this looks like
Thank you.
you're using green beans and chicken breast, herbs de Provence, lentils. Where does the mustard come in? Here we go. A tablespoon of mustard.
Okay.
And that looks like, I'm looking here.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. Some of the things, this looks like a recipe that may have been converted, because we're seeing green lentils, 400 gram tin, drained and rinsed. And I don't know what a Maginot is. Do you? Anybody know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Wow, I guess we need to do a check on that. So let's look that up, because this could have been, just from the way it's written, translated from something else.
Maybe it'll have pictures.
Thank you. Snow peas. Well, let's see if that's the case. Yeah. Sugar snaps have a rounder shape than the mangetot. It's like it would be almost French. I have never heard of that. Wow.
They're flat with very small peas inside. Huh.
They're also called they're the snow peas.
Yeah, I was going to say they're
Okay.
snow peas, right?
Yeah, so they're also called snow peas.
So they're French. What do French call? Oh, wait.
Fancy name for something we already know.
Oh, well. Pea pods. There's pea pods too, the name.
And I'm curious about this. How to say.
It says pronunciation.
Yeah, the next line, pronunciation. There you go.
Mange tout.
What?
Munch too?
Mange tout.
Munch too.
Orange too.
So there we go.
Would never have guessed that.
Nope, the new one. And here, how did we get here? Thank you, Janet, for asking about lower saturated fat recipes, or we would never have learned about munch too.
Why didn't they just snow peas?
That's interesting. Okay. So this looks like a good website. Anybody have any other suggestions for Janet? Well, Janet, if you've not come to any of my other classes, actually most of the classes that I teach on cooking are pretty geared toward healthy meals. Would the rest of you agree with that, that most of the things that I put out are generally low saturated fat? So you could come to any of those classes and get some more meal ideas.
Okay, all right, great, thanks.
So you have a website and some additional classes you can attend.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's anybody else interested in today? Anything on that list that I showed you? If you didn't,
You know what I would like to know? Here I go again. But so I'd like to know how to cook like regular steaks, like okay, so my husband will eat fillets today and forever. But fillets are too expensive to buy as an everyday meal. So every time I go to the grocery store and I look at all the meats, I never know which one's good, you know, whether the sirloin or the, you know, any of the lower type meats. But even if I did get it, I don't know what to cook with it. So, or how to cook it, you know, or what to make out of it. Because I'm so used to just doing straight fillets.
great question. Okay, what do we do? What are the best kinds of, let's start here. Let's start with the best kind of cuts of steak other than filet that are good for just eating as steak. Let's start there, and then we'll talk about the lesser steaks.
Sirloin.
Sirloin steak is a good cut.
Ribeye.
Ribeye, yeah.
Yeah.
Ribeye's more expensive than sirloin. So it really depends on, for me, it depends on the price. It depends on what it looks like in the meat counter.
No, yeah, for me too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like making fajitas out of skirt steak.
Okay, so then there's the steaks that are the lesser, or the ones that you want to do something else with. So what I'm hearing is the ones that are good to cook just the way they are would be
Right.
the sirloins, the ribeye, the porterhouse, and what did I miss something? And the filet, of course. Anything else?
I think
T-bone.
for home, like the porterhouse and the T-bone, because they're so thick and they have that bone, it's really hard to cook those at home.
Yeah. Unless you're grilling.
Yeah, unless you're grilling.
If you grill them, they're
Right.
very beautiful. So then we go to ones that are really good for what, marinating?
Yeah, I do that. I do that with flank a lot.
And marinate London broil also.
Yeah, I think isn't flank and the skirt steak and the London broil all the same cut? It's just called something different.
Let's look. I know they just changed these and now they have this other thing, flat iron.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Flat
it's the new cut that has been out there lately that I never heard of in all the years that I was growing up. I never heard of a flex.
Becca, this is a good use for your cast iron pan.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and I take and remember my mother, I would hate them too, is cube steak. You could chew them, chew and chew and chew and chew, and you would, they were very taken and tough. Should never marinate them.
Oh,
Yeah, learning. So here I'm learning this, that the skirt steak is fattier than a flank steak. So a flank steak is really lean and it doesn't need much trimming, but then you do have to do something to tenderize it. So that's when the marinating comes in with the well, what do you like to marinate your flank steak in? Let's share that with Becca.
Soy and ginger and garlic. It's very simple. Just throw it in a bag overnight. Ziploc bag. Right.
Can you repeat that again?
Soy sauce, ginger, and garlic.
Okay. Do you put any kind of acid in with it or any oil or anything?
No.
Nope.
Sometimes I put in a little bit. I like lime juice better than lemon juice. So I put a little bit in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Garlic is definitely, for me, garlic is a must-have for steak. Anybody have other kinds of marinating ideas?
A lot of people just use like Italian salad dressing, and that's an easy way to go. Just not even just Italian. You can use like an Asian dressing or whatever. I never buy the pre-made marinades because they have way too much salt.
yeah.
But you can get ideas if you go down the aisle that has the marinades are already mixed up and look at them and see what they say, and then sort of develop your own knockoff. Just don't include all the salt.
I love that, Jeannie. Yeah, just be a little spy in the grocery store and then make your own. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I think that you might be aware of, Becca, or not, is that some of these other steaks, like the flank steak that's so lean, it's pretty important to cook that more on the medium rare side.
Mhm.
If you like it well done, it's probably not a good steak to eat well done.
Yeah.
The rarer the better on those, actually, and to slice them across the grain. And then those are really good for what, fajitas as well. What else can we say about steak? Anybody else have their experiences with steak to share?
I love ribeye, but it's way too fat.
It is fat, but it is tasty.
Yeah.
So good.
This was years ago. And I remember Sears was selling like grass-fed steak, for a special or whatever. And they suggested putting like a pat of butter on top. And again, this is not good fattening and it's not good for the fats, but if you put a little bit of butter on top of a properly cooked steak, it just enhances the flavor. And you don't need a lot. And, I don't eat a lot of red meat. I'm not crazy about steak. I'd rather have my red meat in the form of a burger. But if I do that, if I do a steak on a special occasion, I'll go all out and use a little bit of butter on it.
That's a good time to splurge. If you're going to have a steak, you might as well. If you're going to have a filet, you might as well have it the best way you can have it. And I agree with you that butter on the steak does something special, and it's really pretty good.
One thing I did take and learn also is with steak is the importance of a meat thermometer, and look at how like rare you take and want it, and I always take and pull it off on whatever I'm taking cooking on 10 degrees lower than what I want it to be, because after I pull it off and put it onto a plate, it's still going to continue to cook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other rule of thumb on that with a steak is if you like it medium rare, is to press on it like in this area if it's like in this area in your palm, and it springs back and it's at about that kind of feel, that it's medium rare. So whether you want to give that a try or not, I have found that when I have my fillets on the grill, if I cook them 3 to 4 minutes on each side, and I really start with 3, or maybe I'll do 4 on one side and 3 on the other. I just take those off. Actually, that's for any steak. Take them off then and let them finish cooking off, and they're just perfectly done. But a meat thermometer is helpful. The only objection I have to the meat thermometer in that particular case is that, and I love my meat thermometer, is that the juices then start to run out.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
challenge there. But if you're really wanting to get in on the right temperature, that's a good way to zero in on it. Carol Sue, do you have a digital meat thermometer?
Yes, I do.
Is it an instant read?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty nice. Yeah.
Just
So I
to-
was just
Oops, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I made a comment about with the butter. It said it was a grass-fed steak that my mom had bought. But if you buy grass-fed steak versus regular steak, there is a different taste to it.
mhm.
Oh, yes, there's a big difference.
So, I recommend people trying both. My mom never liked the grass-fed taste, but I prefer the grass-fed steak.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and for health reasons, it's a good choice. And it is a different flavor though. So I did want to look this up just to draw an ending to the question about London broil, flank steak, etc. So we know the skirt steak is fattier than the London broil and the flank steak, which are essentially interchangeable. So London broil and flank are usually marinated. Now the last one I want to know is what was it? What was that other one I mentioned?
The flat iron.
Flat iron. It's a newer steak cut, also known as the butler steak or oyster blade steak. Well, that is not helpful. What is the difference between a flank steak and a flat iron? Flat iron is cut from the shoulder area, and the flank is cut from the belly muscle, also down under. Both steaks are flavorful and tender when seasoned and not cooked beyond medium. But the flank steak is leaner. Interesting.
And you wonder, since it's a new cut, where did it pop up from? It was never there before, or what?
I know. Do you think it used to be part of a roast that is
Probably. It's probably some way they cut it differently.
And it looks like that has some fascia. Some steaks you have to remove that fascia membrane over the steak and in order to make it tender. So that's something to consider too. What else do you have to remove that from?
Is that the same thing as like the silver skin?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remove that from the pork tenderloin. And the fillets, if it's not trimmed, if it's not a trimmed fillet, you'll have to remove it from the fillet, from the whatever they call it, the whole tenderloin, beef tenderloin as well.
Yes, exactly. And also the ribs.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ribs.
I have to check now. Where did that flat iron steak come from? That's probably not why. Why is it called flat iron? Who invented the flat iron?
Yeah.
I was attracted to it because there was objective things you can measure. Well, I don't know what that is even all about. Was landed his position. I don't even know what that is. The invention of the flat iron steak. Well, it's making me hungry for steak, I'll say.
Yeah, me too.
In 1998, at the National Cattlemen's Association, they gave a pair of meat scientists a grant and an impossible mandate to find a new cut of meat that centuries of professional butchers had missed. 3 years later, the world was introduced to flat iron.
Huh.
Very, very thin cut on the shoulder blade. Huh. How exactly do you discover a new steak?
Yeah, for real.
That's interesting. So I don't know. It still doesn't say. I'm glancing, kind of scanning through here to see whether they trimmed it out of something that was already there, but it doesn't really say that. So where is it? Let's see, right here. Now you can picture it. Here's your
Okay.
flat iron. There's your flank steak, your sirloin's up here. So what do you, okay, so here's another one, because you asked Becca about the steaks that might be a little less, they're not really less quality, but leaner. So what about round steaks? How do you all use round steaks if you use them?
I don't use them.
I don't use them.
I've used round roast, but not steaks.
So round steaks I have had, I remember growing up with round steaks. My mom used to make Swiss steak, which was a combination of she would just stew the round steak in tomatoes and onions and seasonings for a very, very long time until it was fall apart, kind of like you would a roast. And she did the same thing with mushroom gravy. So she would brown the round steak and then create a mushroom gravy. She used at the time something I wouldn't use at this point, which is the canned mushroom soup, Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, and an envelope of Lipton onion soup mix. So you can create your own now out of better ingredients, but she did the same thing and let that simmer for a very, very long time. It was delicious. And then both of those were served over rice. So it's a very saucy meal. And you can make round steak very tender if you want to. And there's the brisket. Did anybody ever look at one of these charts to know where the meat cuts?
Yeah. America's Test Kitchen used to have a picture of a cow, and they would always point out the different cuts.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, it wasn't a picture. It was a model of a cow.
Yeah, it's kind of good to know. And there's the tri-tip. That's another one that I've been getting because I get meat from a butcher. And I get a package deal of grass-fed beef, and the tri-tip is so now I know it's just below the bottom sirloin or part of it. Okay. Anything else on the steak topic? Anything on another topic that you were thinking of? I have a question. Anybody that took any of the classes with me recently, have you made any of the recipes? And if so, what has been your experience with them? And, do you have any questions about them?
Well, I didn't make it yet, but I did pick up a package of quinoa. So I don't take any, I can't even imagine what the texture is going to take and be, but I will get back to you on it.
Okay, well, you know what, Carol Sue, here's the thing. If you try that quinoa, you cook it and you try it and you don't like the texture, don't throw it away. Keep it, throw it in the refrigerator or throw it in the freezer. And I may just have some additional recipes where you'll be able to use it in, and the texture won't be an issue. How's that for intriguing?
Now I'm curious now. So
Okay.
we'll see.
All right. And I don't know if I'll talk about that in that class on Monday, but yeah, I'm teaching Spotlight on quinoa Monday, and we talk about cooking quinoa and different ways that you can use quinoa. So that's where we are.
Has anybody eaten or cooked farro?
No, I have not. And that's a good one to think about, because that keeps getting on my list and then getting scratched off. I never get around to it. Farro, have you?
No, I'm nosy, and but the thing is my friend in Vermont is vegan, but we're two taken far apart. So the thing is what I used to do is taste whatever he took and made before I took and bought the actual item to make my own recipes, because if I don't like the texture, that's it. The thing is I do take and like barley. I do like barley. So, but not many people like barley, but that's okay. So it depends on the texture. Textures can make it or break it for me.
Yeah, that's a good question, or a good point that you bring up about barley and about texture, because barley is something that I can eat just a little bit of. I'm not all that fond of it, and it's a texture thing. So I'm kind of curious how you make it, how you use it, and if anybody else has barley barley experience?
I take 'em- I put beef, make beef barley soup from beef shanks.
Okay.
If I can find beef shanks in the store, they're hard to find because that's what we grew up on, the beef taking shanks and making beef barley taking soup with, you know, vegetables, etc. My mother used to put okra in it, but I don't like okra.
Mm. Hmm. Okay, so beef barley soup, and that's the one that I think of the most and what I eat the most, but what else does anybody use barley for? Anybody else use barley?
Nope.
So maybe what we need is that because you just don't think you'll like it, or because you just don't know much about it? What is that?
There's a lot of grains that people are starting to use more in different recipes, but you know, I grew up with the grains being just an ingredient in soup, like the beef barley soup. So I don't think of making them a side dish or making them a dish on their own. Like I know Carol Sue mentioned the farro. I think I've had that at a restaurant, like as a, you know, in a fancier restaurant where they have stuff all put together to make your plate look right. And it just reminded me of it like a nuttier grain, but I would never think of making that at home because I don't like that kind of stuff as a side dish. It's got to be either a very small portion or in something else like the beef barley soup.
Okay. So it's not only that you wouldn't think of making it, it's that you wouldn't want to eat that much of it, period.
Yeah, and that's the problem with some of that stuff, because if you make a pot of it, you know, you're not going to try to make a single serving of barley or a single, like the couscous or quinoa. It's you're going to make a big enough portion, you're going to have it multiple times. So you better be ready to eat it for multiple meals.
Yeah. Good thing about those grains is though that you can freeze them. So I just want to
Yeah, I didn't ever think about freezing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really handy yesterday. I pulled out the coconut rice that I had in the freezer and it heated up just like it was fresh, and it was an easy way to have a side dish for dinner. And I do have some recipes I can recall. I have a barley, I think it's barley. It's a barley and asparagus salad that has other ingredients in it. So I'm wondering whether we should just for fun do some more salads that use grains, some grain salads. Would that be of any interest to anybody?
Mhm.
Need a little bit of it?
I would try it.
Okay.
What do you use flaxseed in?
Well, what do you use? I'll turn it over to you guys. What do you use flaxseed in?
Can't remember when I was in a dieting program, I still have some, it's in the cabinet somewhere. I can't remember what we added it to. I want to say we added it to our shakes, but
It's flaxseed is taken high in omega-3
Yeah, that's what I take it.
oils, and it decreases inflammation. If you're I've seen many people use ground up flaxseed as a substitute for eggs when they're making vegan basic cakes and such, as an egg substitute.
No.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't remember the exact formula, but something like 2 tablespoons of flaxseed to maybe 2 tablespoons or a quarter cup of water equals basically 2 eggs. So it does do the viscous kind of thing for substitute for eggs. But beyond that, Becca's point, you know, put that in shakes or put it in smoothies. And it is something you should keep refrigerated because of those omega-3 fatty acids. They will eventually become rancid if they're at room temperature. So just be careful. If you open up your flaxseed and then you think they smell bad or they taste bad, that's why. That's what happened. So
mine is probably rancid.
I keep mine in the refrigerator, and then I grind it a little bit at a time in my coffee grinder. And then you can mix it into if you're making muffins, you can mix some in there. You can sprinkle it on your oatmeal. You can put it in your smoothie.
I did that. I think you recommended that once, and I did sprinkle it on my oatmeal.
How
I really
well-
couldn't taste anything, but I'm supposed to have it. So
Yeah, so you can't taste it, you know, that's okay.
yeah,
So you're supposed to have that because you need to get more omega-3s in your diet.
right.
Yeah, it's a good fiber thing too. So how else has anybody else used flaxseed? Anybody?
I put it on my cereal in the morning, 2 tablespoons.
And that's really all you need, I think, for a for a serving, for what you need for your supplement. That's probably plenty.
I just sprinkled a little bit. I didn't know how much to put on, so I just sprinkled a little bit on it.
Yeah, a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. Let's look at that, just to get an idea. How? The health benefits were observed with just 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed per day. However, it's recommended to keep serving sizes to less than 5 tablespoons per day. So you're probably fine with 1 or 2.
I probably did a half of one.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can
Just
sprinkle.
wanted to try it, but I'm supposed to have it, so I wanted to find out things to put it in.
Oatmeal,
That's
you
good
can
ideas.
your yogurt,
Mm-hmm.
put it into your yogurt.
Smoothies, yeah.
If you make meatloaf,
Oh, yeah.
put it in your meatloaf. You never even
Yeah.
know it's there. So it's a great way to incorporate, just into anything like that. Just a burger that you might be making, you can put it in. Almost anything you could stir it into, because it won't flavor it really.
Right.
Yeah. So just thinking outside of the box a little bit. Oh, what can I add flaxseed to? Pat, I'll ask you in a few weeks. What did you come up with to put your flaxseed in? Because then you can share that with the rest of the group. Because I think we're all looking for ways to incorporate more of these foods in our diet.
So is that alongside omega-3s or in place of?
Well, it is an omega-3 fatty acid. So how does let's see, flaxseed versus flaxseed supplement. Let's just see what comes up there. Because I assume you're talking about if you take an omega-3 or a flaxseed supplement or an omega-3 supplement. Is that what you're talking? Let me
There's omega-3, the fish oil or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they're the same fatty acid, but what you're referring to here would be kind of quantity, maybe. Let's see what it says.
Quality.
Both fish oil and flaxseed are rich. Fish oil is high in EPA and DHA, while flaxseed oil is rich in ALA. So what does that mean?
Take both and you'll have all initials.
Well, and I think that's why they do give an omega-3 supplement that has a bit of everything in.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So Becca, would you jot this down just so that we know it? Each tablespoon of ground flaxseed has 1.8 grams of omega-3s. So now let's look for an omega-3 supplement just to see how it compares. And I know Life Extension is a good brand, so I'm going to just click on that and see what it has.
I take and have a bottle of flaxseed oil here. It is nature made.
Oh, good.
And, okay, it takes the ALA. It has 700 milligrams. This is one capsule. There's 700 milligrams of ALA. Linoleic acid, that's omega-6. It's got 154, and oleic acid, omega-9, 168.
Okay. So it has EPA, or it has ALA and
ALA, linoleic acid, which is an omega-6, 154, and an omega-9, 168, oleic acid.
okay. So it's interesting because they do tend to have different things in them.
Yes.
This one has a different one.
But the one that one has taken, you have to take 4 capsules a day. See, 4 soft gels.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing that I took and learned as far as fish oil taken in capsules, as far as belching and everything else, do yourself a favor, put that bad boy in the refrigerator and get it cold and take it when you take and go to bed at taking nighttime, because then you're not belching it up.
Okay.
And I think they do sell a kind that is supposed to be burpless too. You're right.
Yep.
They are terrible. Oh my gosh. When they come back to bite you, they are awful.
Mhm.
So probably good. We have a harder time getting omega-3s in our diet for sure. So that's why using the flaxseed is a good thing. And you're not going to overdo it by having that and also doing a supplement, I don't believe. Okay. What else you want to talk about? Anybody interested in some of Heloise's helpful kitchen hints? So I haven't looked at any of her things. These are favorite old school. So it'd be interesting to see if you you remember or ever have heard these. So number one, don't throw away lemon halves after the juice is out. You can dip them in salt and rub them on the bottom of your copper bottom pots. Does anybody even have copper bottom pots anymore? Mom's cupboard still has them in. They're not being used at this point, but yeah, they're still there. And they were always a good pot. Okay, anytime a pancake batter, I assume that means, called for eggs, the same recipes were much better if the yolk was put into the batter and the white was beaten separately. So almost making like a meringue out of it and then blending it into the pancake batter. And so used 3 eggs instead of 2, and the pancakes were delicious. Much better. Huh. I didn't know that one. But that's another, speaking of pancakes, another place to put your flaxseed
Okay.
pancakes. Okay, never throw away leftover coffee. When it's cool out, put it in an ice tray and make coffee ice cubes out of it. Matter of fact, I used this morning's coffee that was cold on the coffee pot, and I just poured it over ice and put a little bit of that. It's a coffee syrup, but it's no sugar. It's a sugar-free syrup, and a little bit of cream in there. It was a nice pick-me-up in the afternoon. And incidentally, I'm reading more and more about coffee being good for us in all kinds of ways. So I'm sticking with it. I don't think I want to find out the opposite. Have you read that too? Have you heard that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said about keep it to 2 cups a day though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm a little more than that. 2 16-ounce cups, 2 20-ounce cups. I don't know. When cutting marshmallows or chopping dates, if you dip your scissors in water and cut them wet, the goodies won't stick. So I can't remember the last time when I tried to cut a marshmallow, but it worked. Oh, this is fun. Never clean a closet or a drawer when you're not angry or in a throwing away mood. You'll be wasting your time. Wait until you're angry. Does anybody else agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh, I so do. I think that when I'm in a mood sometimes I just get tired of things being all around, I can really be good at throwing things away. So there's a good tip. Never go to the grocery market hungry.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a true one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Especially in the ice cream aisle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what's for dessert? Here's another use for your ice cream dipper. Use it to make uniform meatballs or meat patties. Boy, some of these have been around a long time and now they're almost like no-brainers, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Use your vegetable peeler to shave off a frozen stick of butter. That's a good idea. I didn't really think about that. Sometimes I have that frozen butter that. Oh, if you don't have a meat pounder, use a hammer. Several layers of newspaper on each shelf when defrosting your refrigerator. Now, anybody have a frost-free refrigerator?
I used to do that in my first apartment that didn't have a frost-free refrigerator. I mean, for the freezer wasn't frost-free.
Yeah. When baking potatoes, put each potato in one of the holes in a muffin tin. It makes it easy to remove them from the oven and prevents them from rolling around. Well, that's a thought.
Good idea.
Stick a toothpick through the garlic clove before you put it in food or sauce so you can remove it then. I don't know if I've ever removed my garlic from anything.
I know. I think the recipes now all call for like chopping it up finely and leaving it in there.
Yeah. Use bacon grease on the shells of baking potatoes for people who like to eat the shells. Does anybody eat potato shells on baked potatoes?
Oh, I love the skins.
love it.
Me too.
The other thing is, because nobody saves baking, and most people don't save baking grease anymore. But if you rub olive oil on it too, it does that same effect and gets it crispy.
Makes it crispy. Yeah, I'm thinking about the bacon though, the bacon grease, because it would give that nice bacon flavor.
Oh yeah.
So next time I make a batch of bacon, because what I tend to do is make bacon. Does anybody else do this? I have gotten to the point where I pretty much make the whole pound, and then I freeze it, or I keep the cooked bacon in the crisper, and then I use it throughout the week. I just heat it up, let it crisp up again.
So you freeze cooked bacon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If I have it and I'm not going to use it, I usually use it for something, but if I get it out of the freezer and I have it in my crisper or in my meat thing, when the week goes by, after a while, I have had bacon go bad on me because I forget about it.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to just cook it and then have what I think I'll use and put some in the freezer. And yes, you can just thaw it out and revitalize it in the microwave. It works really well.
Okay. Because my friend gets me bacon from a butcher on the west side of Michigan, and when she brings it to me, I always just pull it apart and portion it into single serving sides so that I take it out of the freezer in and I cook it up that way. But it would be so much easier to cook it all at once.
Yeah.
And take it out.
And it is a good idea to kind of portion it out that way, but it's kind of I never want to do it at that time.
Well, the problem is I get it. Well, the last couple of years, not so much, but she brings it when we go camping. So I always have her bring it. It's, summer. So it's getting to be the BLT time with the fresh tomatoes, and I can eat those every day until the whole package of bacon's gone.
Deb, if you drop an egg on the taken-in floor and it's difficult to get up, but go get your basically salt from the cabinet. You pour taken salt all over the taken basically egg and let it hang out for a bit, and the salt taken makes the egg congeal, and then you can just take and wipe it up with a paper towel. If you bust a light bulb, go and get the white bread, the one that's really taken in gummy, and you put the bread taken basically on top of the shards of taken basically glass, and mash your hand taken it down, and the shards taken and will go up into the bread.
Can you repeat that? So you take a piece of bread and you wet it?
You take a piece of bread and you take and the light bulb is taken all in shards, and you put the bread you take and put on top of the shards of glass, and you press down or mash it down onto the taken basic floor wherever it is, and the little pieces of glass will take and stick to the bread.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to wet the bread or anything. It's just
no. You just use the white gummy bread,
like the sandwich, the white sandwich bread.
Yeah, like Wonder Bread or the store brand. Yep.
Interesting. That's an interesting thought. Never heard that one before. So, oh my gosh, what time did we start this class? 3 o'clock?
2.
Or whatever. It's 3 o'clock my time. It's after 4 already. We're just having fun talking about it. So
Yeah.
things that were on your mind this week. I still have this list running. So now that you're kind of familiar with what is this is all about, it's kind of nice to seed the next conversation. So what else would you like me to add to this list? And then I'll throw it up on that agenda and we'll use it as a way to target our session. Anything you'd like to add there?
You talk about chia seeds along with the flaxseed.
Okay, more about chia seeds. So you're talking about having maybe some recipes for that? Some recipes, or how do you use it?
Yeah.
Okay, who's saying that? Who is saying that?
Yeah.
Janet, you said it, or Pat? Janet, was that you that said that?
Yes, that was me.
Thank you. Okay. What else? So here's something. I want to type this in and then you can write this down. Deb the Guide at getsetup.io. You can email this if you want some other topics in this discussion. You can email to this address. You can also send me recipes, and you can send me maybe your mom's favorite recipe. We're kind of collecting that for Mother's Day. And we're gathering these things for who knows what will come next out of all of that. But we like when we get you to all participate in that and share what you have, share what you want to share with others, and we'll go from there. So thank you for coming to this today. Was it what you expected? Can you give me that feedback? Was it
I
what
always love your show.
Yeah, it was interesting, very interesting.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. So any tips that you can give me, please provide feedback at the end when you get the email, and I'll send links that we talked about things we talked about today that you provided. So thank you so much for coming, and invite your friends, share the information with your community about Get Set Up. And these class notes, this is where you can go to view the schedule, give some feedback. That's where you click on the feedback loop. And when you sign up for a class, this is how you can invite other people. So this can be really fun if you have some friends who like to just get into a cooking conversation, bring them along and spend time together. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of the Get Set Up community.
Thanks, Deb.
You have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.